Hi friends, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm Kenzie, and today I'll be reading some more ghost stories from Reddit. This story comes from user fair_grade 9115. Footprints in the snow. This happened when I was younger, around 8 or 9. I grew up on a reservation in eastern Maine. I lived with my mother and my brother who was younger. We lived in a 2-story multi-dwelling unit or public housing. Vast wooded area was in my backyard, surrounded by deep woods, and wouldn't take much to get lost, but I always enjoyed adventuring and was very familiar with the territory. It was late winter with about 4 to 5 inches of snow on the ground. I heard knocking on the front and back door at the same time around 1 a.m. in the morning. I noticed it first, and then my mother got up and told my brother and I to stay in my room. She called the police and went downstairs to see if someone was at the door. We kept hearing the knocking, but as my mother got closer to the door, it suddenly stopped. She couldn't see anyone outside the door, and the police finally showed up. Lights lit up the front of our place. Neighbors came out to see what was going on as we had 5 neighbors in our multi-dwelling unit. All of them said they didn't hear or see anyone. Police searched around the property to see if anyone was hiding or ran off, but they didn't find anything. A cruiser stayed in our parking lot for the majority of the night in case anyone came again. Sunrise came and the officer left early in the morning. My mother and our next door neighbor went outside to what I assumed to talk about what happened. Then she noticed footprints in the snow that went along the building leading to our front door and back all the way into the forest. But these footprints were strange. It's as if someone was wearing pointed boots, men's size between 10 and 12. The prints were inverted, as if the toes were facing each other, not at an angle either directly facing each other in a straight line. The creepiest part about them was the steps of the footprints moved side to side. Toes were inverted and looked as if they jumped like that side to side in a perfect straight line leading into the woods. My mother didn't say anything about them until later on in life when I was older, but I knew that they were there. It was obvious. I know what you're thinking, maybe someone was playing a prank or faked it. There were other footprints in the snow around the strange ones, but only around the building. I assume the other footprints were made by the officers due to the fact they looked normal. But there were no other prints in the snow leading up to the tree line. I followed the prints into the woods. No other markings around them, perfectly inverted side-to-side hops or steps in the snow leading deeper and deeper into the forest. I got to the point where an uneasy feeling crept over me, like something was telling me to go back. But I knew where the prints were leading. As I said, I was very familiar with the area. It eventually would have led into a marsh or bog area. I got chilled by the thought for some reason and turned back. I never said anything to my mother about it till later on. I never heard or encountered anything like it ever since. This next story comes from user Nando Padilla. Voodoo Curse. Hi, I'm new to this subreddit, and I'd like to share a story with y'all, but you will need some context. My grandma is from Olancho, Honduras. In those times, the only way to reach her area was through plane because there were no other roads and it was very unsafe to travel with car. At the time, my grandma was fighting for my grandfather's love with another woman. Of course, my grandmother won and had 4 kids and many grandchildren. Remember this. Fast forward, and I'm 14 years old, staying at my grandmother's apartment. The reason being, we were going to drive to Florida. It was going to be me, my little brother, my mother, my aunt, and her friend. But I was staying at my grandmother's until we left in the morning. I was sleeping in the living room. I had to go to the bathroom, so I put my pants on. With that mission accomplished, I looked for the light switch on the exit door of the apartment. For some reason, I couldn't see it even though it wasn't dark at all. The living room was just dimly lit. You could see everything in perfect clarity, but for some reason there was no switch. So I turned my head towards the left where there was a hallway towards the bathroom. I walked towards the switch, but before I do, I see a black figure. Not a shadow, but a completely black, hooded figure, just standing there. I was thinking that my eyes were adjusting after just waking up, so I walked towards the switch, but as soon as I did, the figure walked towards me. I got scared and walked faster towards the switch, and the figure began to walk faster as well. I thought that if I turned on the light, it would go away. I get to the switch and turn it on. The figure was in my face for a split after turning on the lights. I didn't say anything to anyone because I knew nobody would believe me. Fast forward to the day on the road to Florida. We all heard albums, told stories, and one story my aunt said revealed everything. Apparently she met with a palm reader from El Salvador. She said that the palm reader told her her future and something from our family's past. Apparently, when my grandmother was fighting with the other woman to win my grandfather's love, the other woman went to her mother, who happened to be a voodoo priestess, and put a curse on my family. She went on to repeat what the woman told her about the curse. Your family will be haunted by a voodoo god. It's a black figure, no face. It will not harm you, but it will always let you know it's there. I said, bull effing crap. Tell me you're lying. Say you're effing lying. I then told them what I had seen the night before. The rest of the drive was quiet after that. A couple years after, my brother saw the figure on my bed. I'll tell that story tomorrow if anyone's interested. This next story is a continuation from the last one. My brother finally sees it. Okay, so after my last story, I thought I'd tell you the story of how my brother finally saw the voodoo god. I say finally because he used to complain that everyone has a ghost experience except him. Literally everyone in our family has a ghost experience. My family is narcissistic and proud, so for them to admit this stuff like this while calling everything else crap is kinda telling. But I digress. My brother would complain that he wants to see it or have an experience. Some context. At this point in time, I was going through a phase where I would jump scare people. It was funny. My brother got majority of the jump scares. So he was paranoid of every turn because I could be hiding behind something. We were living in a 2-bedroom apartment, and he had to share a room, closet, bathroom, etc. So one summer night, I'm outside in my car smoking a cigarette and talking to some people. My phone rings, and it's my brother. He asks me where I'm at, and I say I'm outside the apartment smoking. He keeps asking me where I really am and stop lying. I'm getting pissed and scared because I hate being called a liar, and he never acts like this. So I ask him in a serious tone, what the heck is going on? He says he thinks he saw it. I park my car and go home. I ask him what happened and why he thought he saw it. He says he saw our bedroom door slightly open. As soon as you open the door, my bed is right there in front of you. The room was dark, but he says he saw the imprint of someone sitting on the edge of my bed. He says he spoke to it thinking it was me trying to scare him. He told me, he said, Nando, is that you? I know it's you playing. Stop trying to scare me, I can see you. Then the figure gets up and walks into our closet. He continues, Nando, stop playing. I know you went into the closet, I'm not stupid. He turned on the lights and went into the closet to look for me, but it was empty. That's when he called me. His opinion on the paranormal changed after that. He knew not to mess with any of it. This next story comes from Guerrero Blade Cruz. Oh boy, do I got another one for y'all. Once again, this is a story my dad told me from when he was younger. One night, an uncle of mine was walking home. The sun was just starting to set, and in Lagos at the time, there weren't many streetlights. So when it got dark out, it got dark out. My uncle had been told by my abu, Dad's mom, many times not to stay out too late and be home before the sun goes down. My uncle was a very stubborn person when he was younger, according to my dad, and always blew off everything my abu would say. On this night, he definitely should have listened to her, and if I'm not mistaken, he did after the events I'm about to retell. As he walked, he saw a man standing on a street corner. The man looked to my uncle and said, "You should get home, kid, it's getting late." My uncle, being the jackass that he was, said, "Screw you, old man, you don't tell me what to do," and went about his leisurely walk home. After a couple blocks, my uncle saw the same man standing on a different street corner. The man said the same thing he said before. My uncle didn't think much of it, told him to go F himself, and continued walking. After a few blocks, my uncle saw the same man, but this time he had a big snarling dog with him. The old man said the same thing, this time with the dog growling and baring its teeth. My uncle was a little more bothered this time, understandably so, but still told the old man to shove it and kept walking. He was nearly home at this point. The sun was gone, the moon bright in the sky, and then he sees him again. This time he's just laughing maniacally. Not only is he laughing, but he has 2 dogs now. According to my dad, my uncle said the dogs and man's eyes were red, and as soon as my uncle walked past them, he heard the man let the dogs go. He took off running as fast as he possibly could, the dogs barking, snarling, and giving chase. As soon as my uncle reached my abu's house, he started pounding on the door furiously, begging her to open up. Once the door was open, he flew inside and told her to shut it fast. My abu was trying to figure out what was happening, and my uncle told her about the man and the dogs. My Abu said he was being ridiculous and said there's nothing out there. She opened the door and saw nothing, but my uncle swore that he could see the dogs pacing outside back and forth, teeth sharp, eyes red, fur black, and waiting for him. And that's all the stories I have for today. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe so you know when I post next. Put your paranormal stories in the comments and I'll possibly read them in a video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.